You spend so much time moving, from task to task, from thought to thought, from one version of yourself to another. Movement becomes a second skin, a shield that keeps your own voice at a distance. Yet every night, when the world dims and your breath slows, something unsettles the surface. You feel the quiet rising like a tide, carrying the pieces you tried to leave behind. You pretend not to see them, but they see you. They wait for you in the spaces between your thoughts. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from work or chaos. It comes from outrunning the mirror of your own mind. You know that feeling, the strange heaviness behind the ribs, the sudden ache in the throat when you remember who you used to be, the way your hands tremble when a forgotten truth brushes against your awareness. You sense that the chase has lasted long enough, and somewhere beneath the noise, a softer truth stirs, asking if you are ready to stop. You stand at the edge of an inner forest. The path behind you is worn, carved by years of avoiding what waited in the trees. The air carries a scent you recognize but cannot name. It feels like a memory that survived every attempt at silence. You sense a presence there, not threatening, only patient. Something in you knows that the moment you step forward, nothing will ever be the same again. And yet, beneath the fear, there is a quiet curiosity, a flicker of light moving through the branches, a whisper that sounds like your own voice, calling you back to the place you left long ago. You do not know what will happen if you stop running, but you feel the question rising, warm and insistent, opening a door in the deepest part of your chest. When you finally begin to slow down, you notice how much of your life was shaped by the parts you refused to see. Every hidden emotion casts a long shadow, and these shadows follow you like echoes of an unfinished story. You sense them at the edges of your awareness, moving with a rhythm that feels almost ancient. They are neither enemies nor strangers. They are fragments of you that learned to survive in the dark. When you pause long enough to listen, you realize they have been calling you since the beginning. You start to feel the weight of the unconscious pressing gently against the surface of your days. It shows itself in the dreams that feel too vivid to ignore, in the sudden waves of emotion that rise without warning. There is a quiet intelligence in these moments, an inner tide that moves with purpose. Something within wants to guide you back to the truth hidden beneath your avoidance. The mind becomes a river where forgotten memories drift back into view, glimmering like stones waiting to be lifted. As you watch these inner movements, you understand that running only strengthened the things you feared. Every avoided feeling grew roots. Every silenced truth found its own language. And now they stand before you with the calmness of old friends. They do not demand. They wait. They rise from the shadows like figures emerging from mist, inviting you to finally meet yourself without turning away. You feel the pull, subtle and steady, like a hand resting on your back. There is a temple inside you built from all the moments you tried to forget. Its doors have remained closed, not out of punishment but out of patience. When you touch them, the wood feels warm, as if it has been expecting your arrival. The forest, the river, the flame inside your chest, all of them point toward the same place. They lead you toward the self that watches without judgment. When you open those doors, you do not enter darkness. You enter a quieter light, the kind that reveals without wounding. And yet, as you cross that threshold, you sense the old fear lingering, the fear of what you might find, the fear of what you might become. But beneath that fear, something softer rises, like dawn breaking through the night. You realize that stopping is not a fall into chaos. It is a return, a gentle homecoming to the parts of you that have waited for your courage. There comes a moment when the inner landscape shifts, and you feel the first tremor of what it means to truly stop. It is subtle at first, like a change in the temperature of your breath. The world around you does not pause, but something inside does. It feels like standing at the entrance of a long-forgotten cave, the air cool, the silence dense. Your chest tightens with a mixture of fear and anticipation. This is the threshold where the mind begins to reveal what lies beneath its polished surface. As you settle into this stillness, images rise from the depths. Old memories drift upward like figures beneath water, distorted yet familiar. Wounds you thought you had buried push against the walls of your awareness. You recognize these shapes. They are the shadows you crafted from hurt and misunderstanding. They carry the weight of childhood fear, unspoken grief, and the versions of yourself you pretend never existed. They step forward with the slow grace of dreams, each one carrying a fragment of truth. The mind becomes a dimly lit forest. Branches crack under the weight of old burdens. Spots of light break through, illuminating fragments of your story. You walk between these shapes, feeling the pull of each memory like a hand reaching from the dark. There is no threat here, only recognition. The shadows are not here to harm you. They are here to be seen. They approach like children who waited too long for someone to kneel down and say their name with tenderness. In this quiet encounter, something shifts. The fear softens. The edges of the shadows blur. You begin to realize that the things you ran from were never monsters. They were parts of you frozen in time, waiting for warmth. This realization does not free you completely, but it opens a door. A slow unfolding of insight begins, preparing you to move deeper into the truth that waits in the next chamber of your inner world. As you move deeper inward, the air grows warmer. The shadows that once frightened you begin to take on softer shapes. You notice how each feeling you avoided holds a quiet pulse, a faint glow beneath the surface. It is as if your inner world has been waiting for your presence to awaken. You stand still and sense a river moving through you, carrying emotions that never had a chance to speak. They rise like whispers from a hidden shoreline, asking not for resistance but for recognition. You begin to understand that every painful memory carries a hidden message. Not a punishment, not a sentence, a message, a fragment of meaning that only reveals itself when held with steady hands. You see how your defenses were built from good intentions, how the walls you raised protected you when you were too young to choose anything else. Yet these same walls now keep you from the very healing you seek. The unconscious shows you this gently. It pulls back the veil just enough for you to see the architecture of your own protections. In this unfolding, the symbols of your inner life become vivid. You see a mirror placed in the center of a quiet room. The reflection is blurred at first, but as you breathe, it sharpens. You witness the face of a self you abandoned. Their eyes carry both sorrow and wisdom. You reach toward the mirror, and the image does not resist. The glass feels like water, soft and fluid, as if inviting you to step through. A temple glows behind the reflection, lit by a flame that never burned out. You feel the warmth spreading through your chest. This is the moment you realize that facing yourself is not an act of force. It is an act of surrender, a surrender to truth, a surrender to memory, a surrender to the quiet strength you forgot you had. You are not collapsing into darkness. You are crossing a threshold into deeper light. And as this understanding settles, you sense that the path is guiding you toward a new layer of insight waiting just ahead, like dawn gently lifting the horizon. When you step even further inward, a profound stillness rises. It feels like entering the heart of a long night, a place where every sound is swallowed by quiet. Yet this quiet is not empty. It is alive. It breathes with you. It listens with you. You feel a subtle warmth spreading from your center, as if an ember long forgotten has begun to glow again. This warmth does not rush. It expands slowly, patiently, illuminating the parts of you that survived the darkness with silent courage. In this inner chamber, you witness the deeper truth of your journey. You were never running from darkness. You were running from the intensity of your own light. The moments you called weakness were seeds of transformation. The fears you labeled as flaws were doorways to a deeper form of strength. You begin to see the architecture of your psyche, not as a battlefield, but as an alchemical process. Every fragment of pain was a piece of lead waiting for the fire of awareness to turn it into gold. The unconscious reveals this with gentle certainty, and you feel something inside you soften and expand. A vision unfolds before you. A forest clearing lit by the first light of dawn. A river moving with a calm, steady rhythm. A flame rising from the center of a stone altar. And you, standing there, not as the one who ran, not as the one who hid, but as the one who stayed. You breathe, and the flame grows brighter. You touch the surface of the river, and the water mirrors your face with startling clarity. You lift your eyes to the sky, and the night begins to dissolve into a soft, luminous morning. This is the turning point, the moment where running is no longer necessary. You feel yourself aligning with a deeper truth, as if the forest, the river, and the flame are moving with you. The self rises from within like a quiet sun, steady and warm, preparing you for the gentle unfolding that waits in the next breath. There is a moment when everything inside you begins to weave together. The shadows you met in the first chamber, the memories that rose like river tides, the softened defenses that revealed their origins with quiet honesty. All of it gathers in a single breath, a breath that feels deeper than the ones before. You sense the forest inside you shifting, the branches parting, the light widening. Nothing is forced. Nothing demands. It is as if your inner world has been waiting for this precise alignment, the moment when fear loosens its grip and something truer steps forward. You feel the presence of your own self rising like a calm wind. It moves through the corridors of your mind, brushing against old wounds with a tenderness you did not know you carried. You notice how the darkness is no longer thick. It looks different now, more like soil than shadow, fertile and alive. The river within you clears, revealing stones shaped by years of silent endurance. Even the night inside you feels transformed, not as a threat, but as a vast sky where new constellations begin to appear. As these pieces merge, the flame at your center brightens. It burns without urgency, steady and unwavering, like a guiding star. You feel a quiet strength spreading through your body, a sense of belonging to yourself that you had forgotten was possible. The mirror within no longer distorts your reflection. The face you see is whole. Scarred, yes, but radiant in a way only truth can create. Something opens in your chest, warm and spacious, as if a door long sealed has finally swung inward. And in that opening, you feel a soft clarity settling into place. You are not the one who runs. You are the one who returns. The forest, the river, the dawn, the flame, all of them gather around you like an inner constellation, guiding you into the gentle embrace of your own becoming. You stand in the center of yourself, steady and quiet, sensing that you are ready for the final movement of this unfolding silence. You stand now in a quieter place, a clearing shaped by everything you once feared and everything you have finally welcomed. The forest inside you no longer feels like a maze. It feels like home. You sense the presence of your own self near you, not as an idea, but as a steady companion, breathing with you, walking with you, watching over the tender ground you have reclaimed. There is no rush to understand, no pressure to transform quickly. You simply rest in the gentle truth that you have stopped running, and the earth beneath your feet feels different because of it. You begin to notice the subtle harmony between your breath, and the world around you. The shadows that once chased you now stand quietly at your side, softened by your attention. The river within flows without turbulence. The flame at your center burns with a calm certainty. Even the night in your mind feels like a sky open to new stars. You feel a sense of communion with yourself, a quiet agreement between your past and your present, as if every fragment of you has decided to finally sit at the same table. As you breathe into this space, something deep within settles. You are not finished. You are not perfected, but you are no longer at war with yourself. The journey ahead will ask for patience, awareness, tenderness. Yet now you walk with a steadier step, guided by the truth you have touched here. A truth that whispers each time you close your eyes and listen. A truth that reminds you that the light you feared was your own. In the days to come, you may feel old patterns rise again. Let them rise. Let them speak. You know now how to meet them with presence. You know how to breathe through the night until dawn finds you once more. And as you move through your life, carry this quiet knowing with you. The knowing that the moment you stopped running, you began to return to the deepest part of who you are. The knowing that stillness, when welcomed, becomes a gentle doorway back to yourself.